Hello, this is Jimmy Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. First, we have Google just killed warrants that give police access to location data from Forbes.com by a ninja lover, and I said, good, but I don't really trust Google with my data either. I don't trust the government with my data, but I certainly don't trust anyone else with it either, so that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have baseball star Shohei Ohtani's new contract is a massive tax avoidance scheme, nice, from Reason.com by 2000 Time of Charm. And, yeah, I personally would think that's a good idea because, I think you shouldn't be forced to pay taxes if you don't want to. And if you want to find a way to do tax evasion legally, I think you should be able to do so. That's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump fans raise hands, cheer and support for him being day one dictator from Newsweek.com. And that was by Donald Key. And I said, Orange Man bad. It really feels like we are never going to move on from 2016. I like what 2000 Time of Charm here said. Team Red and Team Blue would both love a one-party state without checks and balances, and I added, they already have really. They are far more alike than they are different. Then we have, why are California's animal shelters killing so many pets, from Reason.com by 2000 Time of Charm. And they commented, and 2000 Time of Charm commented, lingering COVID-era regulations killing puppies. And I added, I think Fauci could allow them as well for research. Because, that just goes to show you that the government can justify killing pretty much any animal it wants to, as long as the narrative says it's okay. Then we have Oakland's gun buyback misfires from 2000 Time of Charm, and that's from the Reason.com YouTube channel. And I definitely don't think you should be. I think if you want to sell guns, you should be. If the state wants to buy things, you should be able to. But that being said, if it has an unintended side effect, like there are more guns on the street because people want to get as many of them as possible to sell, that's always important to remember. Then we have, the guns were said to be destroyed, instead they were reborn, from New York Times, from Frosty Slowman, and I can't read that because I don't think I have a subscription to New York Times right now, and they blocked me, so I can't comment on it either, so I just have to say, it's just to show you, you can't eliminate guns. There's always going to be people who get guns, even if you make them illegal, and that's always something that's important to think about. That's why I personally am very pro-gun, but also pro-abortion, and, pro-drugs, because, ultimately, you just can't make them illegal. By making them illegal, we make people want them more. That's, I think, the big issue of our time, I would say. People want to do things that are illegal because that's more appealing to the people who want to be edgy and all that. So, that's what I think on that issue. Then we have Trump telling rally immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country, from TheGuardian.com by Whittling Dan. And I said, Donald Trump said something stupid today. What a totally new development. He said the same shit in 2016 and went on to be practically just another term of Obama. I generally wonder how people here managed to cope through his entire 4-year term. Then we have resistance to revitalization when neighborhoods change, but from ire.org by 2000 Time of Charm. And I definitely would agree that, we can't have all this zoning authoritarianism. We need to allow now neighborhoods to change naturally rather than the government stopping all natural change in the name of zoning, I would say. Then we have how the 2024 presidential election is going to go and that's a self-post I made. I said, lottery change these predictions. I said either the Democratic Party branch or the Republican branch of the duopoly win. The losing branch of the duopoly will say that the election is rigged. They might not say it directly, but rather instead use fancy words like election integrity, voter suppression, or Russian interference that pretty much mean the same thing. And people will spend the next 4 years bitching and moaning on social media until the next presidential election, repeat ad nauseum. So that's my thoughts there. People are just going to complain on social media until the end of time, and it really doesn't matter who wins or loses. Time will just continue on regardless. I remember in 2016 people were like, "Oh, Donald Trump's going to destroy the country," but he really didn't do too much different from Obama. We still let the FBI, CIA, and the rest of the deep state really run the country, and he just did a few mean tweets, I guess. But that was pretty much their only difference. Then we have sober Hawaii man was arrested for drunk driving to justify police department's overtime from Jalopnik via Yahoo, and I posted that. And I said, just goes to show that they can really get you for anything, even if you are completely innocent. Then we have Kashmiri students arrested for celebrating India's Cricket World Cup defeat from Reuters.com. I posted that, and I said, just goes to show that they really can arrest you for anything if they feel like it. And Donald Key commented, they said India sucks. They said, I would say the Indian government sucks. It's always more to separate a country and its people from its government, in my opinion. Then we have breaking, calling drag queens groomers not protected speech. Judge rules from Countersignal, and I posted that. And I said, really feels like being mean to LGBTQ people is going to be an unprisonable offense soon. Looks like it already is in Switzerland. I linked to that guy who was jailed over calling someone a fat lesbian on TV in Switzerland. I said, I don't think slander, libel, defamation go along with free speech, so I don't think people should be able to sue each other for just saying words. That's my thought on that issue. I don't think people should be mean to others, but I don't think it should be illegal to be mean to others. To me, stuff like defamation, it's all that stuff, or all words are just free speech. I think we need to act accordingly. Then we have new Hollywood race bait just dropped from Focus Features, and that's a link to the American Society of Magical Negroes trailer. And I said, remember, it's okay to be mean to others as long as the narrative says it's okay. Try replacing, in the linked timestamp I had, they said, oh, what's the most dangerous animal in the world? White people. I said, try replacing right with something like trans. It's linked timestamp. See how that will go over. Racism is seen as okay as long as it's against white people, and I think that's something that you need to remember. It's okay. You can't have reverse racism is still racism, but the woke narrative is that no, you can only be racist one way. They always say, oh, you shouldn't be mean to other people because of their stuff, but suddenly when you're white, that goes out the window. Then we have reply to the Doomer post made about the 2024 election from Commissar David, and they said the reality is that we are in a duopoly, but it is fixable. It'll take a lot of work to fix, but fixable nonetheless. How you can help: spread the word about the LP and third parties in general to at least one person. Many people's beliefs would place them within the camp of a third party, but unfortunately no one learns about the third parties in school, and if they do, it's just a party name. Atomic networking is a powerful thing, and with enough of us reaching out to each other, anything is possible. So instead of being so gloomy over the future, try and be part of the solution instead. And I said, I like the optimism, but we need to be realistic as well. A third-party candidate has not taken a state in U.S. presidential elections since George Wallace in 1968, and hasn't really come close since Ross Perot in 1992. Hopefully it will change, but it doesn't look like it will anytime soon, even if RFK Jr. poised to do relatively well next year. Then we have shop owner uses handgun to stop crooks from picking his store clean from Shabane from KMPH.com. And that's good, I think that you should be able to defend your store products if you're getting shoplifted, because if your property, you should be able to defend whatever force you feel necessary. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have San Francisco Democrat says homelessness crisis in his district is absolutely resolved capitalism from mypost.com, and everyone by Chabanais. And I said, politicians not taking accountability for their own actions. Whoever could have seen that coming? That's the thing with politicians. They always say, oh, blame capitalism, blame the system. Well, you are the system. Try and work to change it instead of just blaming other things. That's the thing. People will never take responsibility for their own actions. They'll always find a way to pass the buck. Then we have why we have more SUVs than cars from Reason TV YouTube channel from 2009 with Charm. And they said that, it's because they meet the government definition of truck, and the standards on trucks are much less than they are for regular cars. And that's just going to show you how the government had good intentions there. If we make the standards for cars harder, people might we might be the best solution, but the people will always find a way around. People will always find a loophole and a way around that. That's something you always have to remember. People, they'll always find a loophole and a way around stuff like just whatever regulations there are. Then we have Social Security myths debunked. Prof. Davies takes on Robert Reich from 2000 Charm. That's a YouTube video from Anthony Davies. And I definitely agree that, the Social Security, as BHKMB posts here, it's a welfare Ponzi scheme. That's correct. If people decide to do Social Security privately, people would be arrested for doing a Ponzi scheme. But since the government does it, it's okay. It's another example of pirates and emperors. They go when the empire does something, it's law. When the individual does it, it's crime, and that's always important to remember. Then we have prison or bullet. New Argentinian government promises harsh response to protests from TheGuardian.com and by Whittling Dan. And I like what Incorrente says here. They said, makes you wonder why part of that quote wasn't used in the headline, because it apparently isn't the whole headline. I said, I said, you know why, where is it? I'm trying to find it. It was you know why the Alpha Media's goal is to set an agenda rather than to inform. And this is just another thing. I don't care for state authoritarians, even if a supposed libertarian like Javier Milei in charge. But then again, you have to remember that the Alpha Media's goal has always been to set an agenda rather than to inform as well. Then we have chart. How skeptical are Europeans about vaccinations from Statista.com by Chabonet. And I think if people will be skeptical about vaccinations, I think they should be able to. But if they want to support vaccinations, they should be able to. I'm always been against the war on drugs. Whatever you put in your body is your choice. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have good to see more people coming around to the fact that the New Deal actually worsened the Great Depression. That's a crossword from the Libertarian subreddit. And it's FDR as he socked Hedgehog and he's got his darts, and then he misses the dartboard for ending the Great Depression. He says all the free labor agencies he did: AAA, FWA, NRA, PWA, CCC, WPA, CWA, FARA, NERA. And I said, that's the thing, is that, the New Deal actually probably worse than the Great Depression, but, if you can control the narrative, you can control the people. And that's very much what the liberal establishment does in regards to the New Deal. Then we have Ayn Rand Institute in Ukraine, Objectivism, Philosophy, and Situation in Ukraine. And that's from Max Sidalo, and that's from the Yana Matveychuk YouTube channel. And I definitely would agree that, we need to, if the Ukrainian people want to defend themselves, they should be able to, but I don't know if the U.S. government should be funding all of it, because, doesn't the U.S. government have no problems at home? And even then, I don't think the U.S.'s intentions are noble. I think it's just a proxy war between them and Russia, pretty much. Then we have lawmakers want Chick-fil-A to open on Sundays along Thruway from WKBW, and I posted that, and I said, definitely government overreach in regards to private business here. The Chick-fil-A doesn't have a right to say, to be in the shopping plazas along the freeway, like the what are they called? I'm trying to remember, like the pit stops. I would say, like with all the pits, like the service plazas. But this wasn't the rule, but now they're trying to implement it retroactively, and I don't think that's being libertarian. I think libertarian is more grandfathering people in. But ultimately, the government will justify what justifies, and so will Chick-fil-A is. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have my sole act as president of the United States. And I posted that, and it's a picture I took of a note I did. Executive order, whatever number we are at now, as the president of the United States of America, I hereby end all forced collectivism within its borders, which includes the establishment of all the federal, state, and local government entities. Signed, James Mitchell V. And I said, I was told you could identify as whatever you want these days, so I thought I would identify as president of the United States of America. That's my thoughts on that issue. If you want to. That's why I think on that issue. I think if you want to identify as whatever, you should be able to, but you're not. Other people shouldn't be forced to accept you that identity. So that's my thoughts on that issue as well. Then we have SNL joke swap. The one time of the year SNL can be politically incorrect, and it's a riot. And that's a post from Joe's Time Charm from the SNL YouTube channel. And I would agree, that political correctness, I think, is pretty much killed comedy. And I think, if you want to be a little edgy and politically incorrect sometimes for it to be funny, I think that's completely fine. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says keep the Ukraine war going so the military-industrial complex can employ more people from RonPaulInstitute.org, another one by Chabonet. So I personally think, it is, as I said, it's just kind of a proxy war, and this is just another proof of that. Then we have MSC, the world's largest shopping carrier, joins shipping giants Hapag-Lloyd and Maersk Red Sea travel pause amidst the heavy attacks from CNBC.com by Chabonet. And yeah, I think as a private company, they should be able to do that. Something false on that issue. Then we have Apple pausing sales of Apple Watch Series 9 and Ultra 2 in the US due to patent dispute from MacRumors.com by Chabonet. And I think if I personally think that the idea of the patent is overly authoritarian. I think, if you put something out there, then, you have to deal with the consequences of that. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Truth is the biggest threat to democracy in D.C. from Mises.org. And I definitely would agree with that, because that's why they're trying to police whatever they deem to be misinformation. Because what's often misinformation often ends up being true. And they don't want people to know the truth. They want you to keep you entwined in their web of lies. And that's why, social media is very important. A free and open internet is very important because, historically they didn't have any way, you didn't have any way to call them out. And now social media and the internet, you have tons of ways to call them out. And that's why they increasingly want censorship of the internet so that they can control the narrative again. Then we have 40% of student loan borrowers missed payments in October from Chabonet, and that's from Politico.com, and I think that's, I don't think that's good, but, I definitely think that's why people shouldn't be taking out these student loans in the first place if they can't afford to pay them back. I was duped into one, but hopefully I'll be able to pay it back soon, so that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Commission opens more proceedings against X under the Digital Services Act from ac.europa.eu from Chabonet, and that's just another example of the EU trying to crack down on the free and open internet, so I don't think that's good. And I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in this episode. Bye.